My ex tried to sue me for $155,000 after I blocked her for saying my mom's death was good timing. Hi, I'm Luke, 32, and my mom's funeral was 3 hours over when my fiancée opened her mouth and blew up my entire life. She actually said it like it was a win. Like this death my mom's was some kind of prize we'd been waiting on. There were about 40 people in my aunt's kitchen, heads bowed, voices low, all the appropriate post-funeral energy. Then Vanessa, 29, the woman I thought I'd marry next spring, smiled and said, "Finally, now we can sell her house and use the money for our wedding." The kind of sentence that punches the air out of a room. I think the sound of the refrigerator hum got louder just to fill the silence. I was standing next to my uncle the cop and across from my little sister, who'd been crying quietly into her sleeve for an hour. Vanessa said it like she was excited. Like someone just offered her an upgrade to first class and a champagne bottle with her name on it. She didn't even look at me. She kept talking. "I found a venue. It's $85,500 for everything, but with the sale of the house, it's perfect timing." Perfect timing. My mother was dead. 3 hours in the ground. Her library badge was still clipped to her handbag on the dining room table. I didn't say anything. Not right away. My jaw just locked. I felt my stomach turn to wet concrete. My aunt went red in the face, my sister started sobbing again, and my uncle, the one who buried his badge in his inside jacket pocket, just stared. Then I said it. "Get out." Vanessa blinked. "What?" Flat voice. No emotion. "Get out of my aunt's house." "Oh my God, Luke, don't be dramatic. I was just trying to be practical." She crossed her arms. Like I'd taken away her phone mid-text. She said I was grieving and not thinking clearly. That someone needed to be an adult here. And that's when my uncle stepped forward. "Ma'am, you need to leave." "No." She refused. Called it her house too, since we were getting married. Said I was humiliating her. Said my mom would have wanted me to be happy. And then, my uncle did what he does for a living. He escorted her out. Physically, politely, firmly. She was yelling the whole way down the porch steps, about how ungrateful I was, how she was just trying to help, how we were overreacting. My dad's brother, who's usually only useful for football stats and passive-aggressive toasts, muttered, "Well, dodged a bullet there, kid." He was right. I just didn't know how many rounds were still in the chamber. The silence after she left felt heavier than anything that came before. Like even the grief had stopped to process what just happened. I walked outside, sat on the porch steps, stared at the patchy lawn I'd played tag on as a kid, and tried to find a single emotion that made sense. There wasn't one. Just static. My sister came out and sat beside me. Didn't say a word. Just handed me a glass of water and rested her head on my shoulder. That night, I slept in my old room. Same posters, same books on the shelf, same creaky ceiling fan that used to keep me awake in middle school. Except now, it was just me and the absence. I didn't cry. Couldn't. Something about everything felt blocked. Like my body had locked the grief away in a vault labeled "Deal with later." At midnight, my phone lit up. Text from Vanessa. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean it like that. You're being ridiculous. We need to talk about our future." "And what about the house?" That was the line. "And what about the house?" Blocked her. Next morning, I woke up early. Put on jeans, brewed the kind of coffee my mom hated because it was burnt and too bitter, and sat at the dining table with my siblings. We were sorting through mom's stuff, what to keep, what to donate, what we couldn't look at yet. Her robe still smelled like her shampoo. Her glasses still had fingerprints. It was the most brutal game of what stays I've ever played. And then someone started banging on the door. Not knocking, banging. My brother opened it. Vanessa. In full storm mode. No makeup, hair in a messy bun, eyes puffy. She tried to push past him. "I need to talk to him." My sister stepped up. "You're not welcome here. I'm his fiancée." "Not anymore." I came to the door. She tried to slide past my sister again. Didn't work. My sister played college volleyball and outweighs Vanessa by 30 pounds of. "Try it. Luke, please. I'm sorry if what I said came out wrong. I was trying to help. You're not thinking clearly because of grief. Stop talking. We need to discuss the wedding. The venue needs a deposit by next week, or we'll lose the date. There is no wedding." And that was it. Her face changed in real time. That fake concern dropped like a mask. What was underneath? Cold. Sharp. Don't be stupid. You're upset. But we're not throwing away 2 years over a misunderstanding. You said my mom's death was perfect timing. I didn't mean it like that. How did you mean it then? Nothing. Just this blinking silence. Just leave. We're done. She looked down at her hand like she forgot she was wearing the ring. Fine. Keep the house. But I want my ring back. That's $8,000 worth of diamond. You're not keeping it if you're going to act like this. I went out to my car, pulled the ring from the glove box where I'd thrown it, and tossed it at her feet. She scrambled to grab it like Gollum with the one ring. She stared at me, waiting. Like I'd suddenly changed my mind. I didn't. She huffed, stormed off, peeled out of the driveway like we were in a Fast and Furious sequel. My brother looked at me and said, "Dude, what did you ever see in her?" Honestly? I had no idea. It was supposed to stop there. That should have been the end. A line drawn. A clean break. But Vanessa doesn't do endings, she does escalation. 3 days after the funeral, her mother called me. "You're making a huge mistake," she said. "My daughter loves you. Your daughter said my mom dying was perfect timing." At her funeral. In front of my family. She didn't mean it like that. Explain how else she meant it. She went silent. Then exploded into a tirade about how I was throwing away a good woman, and how ungrateful I was for everything Vanessa had put up with. I hung up. Blocked her. The next call came from our wedding planner. She sounded nervous. "Hi, so your ex-fiancé has been calling nonstop. She wants me to bill you for the cancellation fees. It's about $2,400. "Excuse me?" She said, "Since you inherited your mother's house, you can afford it. And she's insisting I make you pay. She can insist all she wants. We're done. She planned this wedding, she paid for the deposits because she wanted the credit card points. I'm not paying a dime." Cool. I just needed confirmation. Also, heads up, she tried to keep the wedding date. Wait, what? Yeah. She called the venue 3 times trying to change the groom's name. Like just, swap you out. They shut that down quick. My mouth went dry. She tried to keep the venue and just replace me? Yep. I've done this job for 15 years. That's a new one. After that call, I went numb. Just sat on the porch steps again. Same spot as the funeral. The idea of my mom's death being used as leverage to lock in a Pinterest wedding made me want to throw something. And that's when the worst part hit me, not what Vanessa said, but that it wasn't a mistake. Not some grief-blind slip-up. It was a reveal. Vanessa had made comments before. About the house. The school district. The kitchen she'd remodel. I thought she was dreaming out loud. Now I saw it for what it was, staking a claim. She never loved me. She loved what she could get from me. That night, I was cleaning out Mom's desk. Found a sealed envelope with my name on it. Her handwriting. 2 weeks before she passed. "Sweetheart, if you're reading this, I'm gone. I'm sorry I can't be there to help you through this. I know grief fogs everything, but there's something you need to know. I don't trust her. Your fiancé. I've tried, baby. I really did. But every time she visits, she's measuring curtains with her eyes, asking about property value, and talking about what she'd change. She doesn't ask about you. She talks about plans, not love. Please make sure she loves you for you, not for what you can give her. Trust your gut. I love you forever. Mom." I sat on the floor of her bedroom and sobbed. Not just cried, sobbed. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't move. It was like she reached from the grave to pull me back from something I didn't even realize I was falling into. Next day, I called my uncle the cop for advice. Not as a cop. As family. He poured us beers, looked me dead in the eye, and said, "Change your locks. Today. She's got a key to your apartment, right? Don't give her a chance to claim anything." Then he paused. "Don't let her do to your life what she tried to do to your mom's house." My uncle wasn't being dramatic. Turns out, he'd seen this kind of thing before, engagements that turned into legal nightmares when one person couldn't let go. He told me exactly what to expect. "She'll try to claim she lived with you. That she's entitled to part of the estate. She might even say you promised her the house." I laughed. "She knows we weren't married, right? Doesn't matter what she knows. It's what she can argue. You'd be surprised how many people bluff until they get a check. So I followed his advice. Changed the locks that night. Called the locksmith before I even got home. Had them redo everything: apartment, mailbox, even the deadbolt on my garage. I emailed HR the next morning and removed her from my health insurance. Domestic partner status, terminated. 2 days later, it started. A letter from some discount lawyer firm. You could tell from the typos and the $50 template they pulled from Google. Vanessa was claiming financial interest in shared marital assets acquired during cohabitation. That's legal speak for, give me half your stuff. We weren't married. Didn't own anything together. Never even filed joint taxes. Still, she was trying to lay claim to my inheritance. I sent the letter to my new attorney, a real one this time. Highly recommended, expensive, sharp. She called me after reading it, and just laughed. She's got zero case. You weren't married. The house is inherited. The will is clear. This is theater. Let me handle it. And handle it she did. One cease and desist later, Vanessa's budget lawyer dropped her like a hot brick. But Vanessa didn't back off. No, she pivoted. She started calling my family. Not to apologize. Not to explain. To recruit them. She called my dad's cousin to plead her case. Luke's stealing my future. That house was supposed to be our start. Cousin asked, were you married? Vanessa. No, but we were planning to be. That's basically the same. Cousin. That's not how anything works. She called my sister, crying. Please talk to him. Talk some sense into him. We built a life together. My sister said, you built a fantasy. And it's over. Lose my number. Then she started showing up. At my apartment. At my job. At my mom's house. Just appearing. Trying to corner me in hallways, catch me off guard. My uncle told me to document everything. Dates, times, what she said. So I did. Kept a little spiral notebook in my car and wrote it all down. But the worst was when she showed up at my office. Walked right past reception. Found my cubicle like she owned it. We need to talk. No. You need to leave. Not until you agree to be reasonable. That house is half mine. My boss came out of his office. Ma'am, you need to leave before I call security. This is between me and him. Not anymore. Security escorted her out. She was screaming about how I stole her life, how she was going to ruin my reputation, how everyone would know what a thief I was. My boss pulled me aside after. Ex-fiancé? Yeah. She gonna be a problem? Already is. Document everything. 2 days later, she filed a police report. Said I stole jewelry from her. A bracelet her grandmother gave her. Claimed it was still in our shared apartment, and I was refusing to return it. But I had receipts literally. After the breakup, I'd packed up everything she owned and delivered it to her mom's house. Had her mom sign a list of items and a property received form. Nothing was missing. The cop assigned to the case? My uncle's partner. He came by with an apology in his eyes. I gotta follow up on this. Got the receipt? I showed him. Signed, dated, witnessed. Perfect. I'll note in the report that property was returned and verified. She's got no case. But Luke, man, she's escalating. If this keeps going, we're talking restraining order. I nodded. Yeah. I think I'm going to need one. The cops may not have taken her seriously, but social media sure did. That same week, Vanessa posted this novel on Facebook. A public post. Full of drama. Title might as well have been How My Cruel Ex Abandoned Me After His Mom Died and Stole My Dreams. It was full of half-truths and straight-up lies. She painted herself as the heartbroken bride left at the altar, sobbing into her wedding dress while I hoarded my inheritance and refused to honor our future. Her friends went wild in the comments. You deserve better, girl. Sue him. He'll regret it. Karma's real. But then, her mom chimed in. Because why not? Let's drag the whole gene pool into this. She commented. I always knew Luke was selfish. His mother would be ashamed of how he's treating my daughter. That house should be shared. That's when my aunt, my mom's sister, entered the ring like a nuclear missile. Your daughter said my sister's death was perfect timing 3 hours after the funeral. In front of 40 witnesses. You want to talk about being raised wrong? Start with your own kid. She tagged everyone who was there. Every single one backed her up. The post vanished within the hour. But Vanessa didn't stop. She started calling vendors from the wedding. Photographers. Florists. The cake lady. Told them I was refusing to pay bills. Told them to invoice me directly. They all called to confirm. I told them the truth, engagement's over, I'm not responsible for anything she booked. Fun fact? Vanessa had insisted on putting everything on her credit cards for the points. She wanted the wedding to be her project. Now she was drowning in non-refundable deposits and cancellation fees. And she was desperate to make someone else pay. She even tried to return the engagement ring. The store refused. Custom setting. No refunds. Policy's policy. So she listed it online. For $12,000. I paid $8,000. It dropped to $9,000, then $7,000. Last I checked? Still listed. $5,000. No takers. Then it got creepy. Realtors started calling me. Hi, just following up on your inquiry about selling the property at Mom's address. I never called any realtor. She was impersonating me, calling around, trying to get my mom's house listed for sale. Trying to sell it. I changed every password. Put a fraud alert on my credit. Called every major real estate company in the county and flagged the property. Do not accept any listing inquiries unless they come directly from me. And yes, I'll verify with ID. Thought I'd covered all the bases. Until I got an email from HR at work. Hey, just a heads up, Vanessa called saying she was accidentally removed from your health plan. She said you were grieving and didn't mean to. We told her you'd submitted a formal removal with all required signatures. She got really pushy. But we shut it down. She was trying to sneak her way back onto my health insurance. At that point, I was juggling grief, probate court, estate paperwork, funeral thank you notes, my little brother having panic attacks, and my sister spiraling into depression, and Vanessa was out here treating it all like a hostile takeover. I called my lawyer. She's threatening to sue again. I said. What now? She's claiming I verbally promised her the house. Okay, my lawyer said. Cool. So next she'll say you promised her the moon and the cure for seasonal allergies. The demand letter came the next day. Vanessa wanted $140,000, half the house value plus $15,000 for emotional damages and wedding costs. Total, $155,000. I laughed so hard I had to sit down. My lawyer didn't even bother responding. If she actually files suit, we'll crush it. But she won't. This is a fishing expedition. Don't throw her a hook. Spoiler alert, she didn't file. Just kept screaming into the void and hoping someone would echo it back. She didn't get the lawsuit she wanted, so she changed tactics. Again. First came the packages. Random crap started showing up at my apartment. Stuffed animals. Cheap necklaces. Generic cards with "I miss you" written in the same loopy handwriting she used on our wedding invitations. Returned. Every single one. Mark them. Not at this address. Started feeling like a post office in hell. Then she started parking outside my building. Not even subtle. She'd sit in her car for hours. Just idling. Sometimes scrolling her phone. Sometimes staring up at my window like a ghost who hadn't accepted she was dead yet. First time, I waited her out. Second time, I called the non-emergency police line. They sent someone. She peeled out before they arrived. Third time, they warned her, one more incident, and she'd be hit with harassment charges. She finally stopped coming around. So she weaponized other people. My phone started ringing again, different numbers. Unknown area codes. New voices. Hey man, I'm a friend of Vanessa's. I think there's been a big misunderstanding. She's really hurting. Maybe just talk it out. You're being cold. She made one mistake. Doesn't mean you throw everything away. Block. 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 Then her dad called me. The man hadn't said more than 5 words to me in 2 years. Suddenly, he was full of opinions. You need to do right by my daughter. That house should be split. It's only fair. Your daughter said my mother's death was perfect timing at the funeral. I don't owe her anything. She made a mistake. You're being vindictive. I'm being done. Lose my number. Blocked him too. At this point, I wasn't even angry. Just empty. Like every part of my emotional hard drive had been overwritten by some glitchy software called grief plus crazy X plus identity theft plus legal whack-a-mole. The house still sat empty. I hadn't moved into it. Couldn't. Every room smelled like my mom. Her books were still on the shelf. Her teacup still sat by the sink like she was coming back any minute. But I knew I couldn't let it sit forever. One night, my siblings and I sat in the living room, surrounded by old photo albums and boxes of her favorite things. We talked about what to do. Nobody wanted to live there. Not without her. So we decided we'd sell. We listed it that week. The offer came fast. $288,000. Cash buyer. No inspection contingencies. I accepted. It felt like betraying her and honoring her at the same time. But I knew what she would have said. Let it go. Use it to move forward. So I did. The sale closed in 10 days. The check hit my account, and I stared at the number like it was written in another language. I split some with my siblings' moms who didn't require it, but it felt right. They'd helped clean it out. They'd suffered just like I had. And they never once asked for anything. I paid off my car. Dumped the rest into savings. Closed the estate. Vanessa found out somehow. Probably drove by and saw the sold sign. I got one last text from an unknown number. Hope you choke on the money you stole from me. Blocked. Sent the screenshot to my lawyer. Just in case. After the house sold, the silence should have felt like peace. It didn't. It felt like vacuum. Like someone had yanked the cord on my entire life and I was just floating in whatever was left. No funeral plans to manage. No house to protect. No Vanessa to dodge. Just empty spaces. But even then, she wasn't finished. Her best friend, a girl I'd only ever tolerated because she once called Vanessa a vision board with a Pinterest addiction, texted me out of nowhere. Hey. I know you probably don't want to hear this, but she's not okay. Not my problem. I know. But she lost her job. Couldn't stop missing work for legal stuff. Got fired. She's back living with her parents. It's bad. I stared at the message for a while. Didn't feel joy. Or vindication. Just nothing. Like that part of me had been surgically removed and I hadn't even noticed. She did this to herself. I know. I tried telling her. She won't hear it. She still blames you for everything. I didn't answer. A week later, she tried again, this time under a new number. Said she needed closure. Said we left things unresolved. Said she wanted to return something of mine. I never replied. I knew her game by now. Another week, another tactic. She started sending apology letters. Handwritten. Pages of, we were meant to be. And, I wasn't myself. And, your mom would want you to forgive me. One of them included a photo strip from a fair we went to our first year dating. The one where I looked happy and she looked like she already owned the future. I threw it out with the rest of the trash. Then came the last escalation. She contacted the venue again. The $85,000 wedding venue we had looked at exactly once before deciding it was a fantasy. She sent them a fake inquiry as me pretending we were reconsidering and asking for a new quote. The venue manager, a no-nonsense woman named Carla, remembered the whole saga. She emailed me. Hey Luke, just FYI, someone impersonated you. Wanted to book under your name. We flagged it. No harm done. But thought you'd want to know. That was the moment I truly realized. Vanessa hadn't lost me. She'd lost her fantasy. She didn't miss me. She missed the aesthetic. The storyline. The bridal Pinterest board with custom #dreams. The post about overcoming loss and stepping into our future. The photos on the steps of my mom's house, newly remodeled. I wasn't a fiancé. I was a prop. A few days later, I framed my mom's letter. Put it on my desk. Right beside a picture of her holding a cup of tea, half laughing at something I can't remember. When I doubt myself, when guilt creeps in and whispers maybe I overreacted, I read her words again. Please make sure she loves you for you, not for what you can give her. Then I remember perfect timing. And suddenly it all makes sense again. The wedding would have been next month. Every time I pass the calendar, I still glance at the date. Not out of longing. Out of disbelief. Like that almost happened. I almost walked into a marriage built on entitlement, fantasy, and real estate projections. Instead, I walked into grief. Into court documents. Into legal fees and locksmiths and phone calls with a funeral director who kept mispronouncing my mom's name. And somehow, I'm still here. The grief comes in waves. Still does. I found one of Mom's library books the other night, wedged under the couch. Some cozy mystery with a cat on the cover. Her receipt was still inside, used as a bookmark. I sat on the floor and cried so hard I got a nosebleed. But some days are better. My siblings and I text daily now. We weren't always close. Grief changes things. I think we cling to each other harder because we're all that's left of her. We send each other dumb memes. Check in after doctor's appointments. Random. I miss her today. Texts that need no reply. Even Dad's been around more. We weren't close after the divorce. He drifted. Then remarried. Different life. But he came to help pack up Mom's house before the sale. Didn't say much. Just worked. Hauled boxes. Swept the garage. Ordered pizza. We sat on the floor that night and actually talked. About Mom. About mistakes. About how badly grief screws with your wiring. She would have loved to see this, he said. All of us. Just being here. My aunt calls every week now. Brings food I don't need and stories I do. She told me last Thursday about the time Mom tried to cut her own bangs in 11th grade and ended up looking like a sad bowl of oatmeal. We laughed until we cried. Work's been kind. My boss gave me extra time off after the funeral. Coworkers don't ask questions. They let me exist. Dating's not even on my radar. I deleted every app. Threw away every Ring catalog. Haven't touched the little velvet box where I used to keep Vanessa's proposal speech outline. Yes, she wrote her own speech and asked me to memorize my response. Now? I can't imagine going through that with anyone. Maybe someday. Maybe never. I honestly don't care either way. Because I know this, I'm finally living a life that's mine. Not curated. Not filtered. Not planned by someone who saw my future as a Pinterest board with a mortgage attached. Vanessa's fantasy life burned to the ground. Mine? Finally growing roots. I thought blocking her was the end of it. But endings, as I've learned, are rarely clean. A few days after what would have been our wedding, I got another call. Unknown number. I answered without thinking. You destroyed my daughter's life. Vanessa's mom. Again. She had everything planned. You ruined it. Your daughter said my mom dying was perfect timing. At her funeral. She ruined it herself. She made one comment. One mistake. One comment that showed me exactly who she was. Everything after just confirmed it. She loved you. No, she loved what I could give her. That's not the same. I hung up. Blocked her again. My uncle came by that night with a 6-pack. Didn't say much. Just cracked a beer, sat beside me on the porch, and nodded toward the sky like the stars owed us answers. You good? He asked after a while. Getting there. Your mom would be proud. You didn't let anyone push you around. Stood up for yourself. Doesn't feel like anything special. Felt like the only option. That's exactly why it's special, he said. Most people cave. Make excuses. Try to fix unfixable things. You didn't. We finished our beers in silence. Sometimes, I think about that $85,000 venue Vanessa was so obsessed with. The one she couldn't wait to use my mom's death to pay for. Wonder if she still drives by it. Wonder if she ever lets herself admit what she really lost. Doubt it. She didn't lose me. She lost her narrative. Her timeline. Her carefully color-coded life plan. Meanwhile, I framed Mom's letter. Hung it right above my desk. Some days I read it and cry. Some days I read it and laugh. Every day, it reminds me what love should look like. Unconditional. Protective. Clear-eyed. And now, I'm building that into my life. Slowly. Quietly. I'm taking long walks. Making my own breakfast. Buying books I'll probably never finish just because the cover looks good. I opened a savings account called for something that's actually mine. My sister asked me the other night if I regretted anything. Not ending it, I said. Just not seeing who she really was sooner. She nodded. She hid it well. Or I didn't want to see it. Both can be true. Now I see it all. Every red flag I waved away because I thought compromise meant silence. That love meant endurance. That giving meant giving up. Not anymore. A month after the sale, I got a letter from the HOA. Nothing dramatic, just a note confirming the change in ownership had been processed. They also included a thank you for the graceful and respectful way I'd handled the transition. I read it twice. Graceful and respectful. didn't feel like that from the inside. It felt like I'd been underwater for 2 straight months, holding my breath and swimming through legal threats, manipulation, funeral grief, and emotional landmines. But I guess from the outside, it looked like I'd kept my head. That counts for something. I started sleeping better. I got a dog. Not because I needed one. Just wanted something to walk with at sunset. She's a rescue mutt with big ears and trust issues. I named her Penny after the copper elephant trinket my mom used to keep in the kitchen window. Penny doesn't like loud noises or sudden movements. Neither do I. We're a good pair. Work's picked up again. My coworkers no longer treat me like I might dissolve in the break room. One of them, Troy, invited me to his kid's birthday party. I actually went. Watched a bunch of sugar-high toddlers destroy a bounce house and laughed harder than I have in weeks. I caught my reflection in a sliding glass door. Looked calm. Like a person. Not a defendant or a mourner or a guy whose fiancé tried to turn his mother's death into a funding opportunity. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like I wasn't carrying Vanessa anymore. Because yeah, I'd been carrying her. Her expectations. Her plans. Her carefully scripted fantasy where my mom's house became our forever home, and her Instagram caption read, "Turning loss into love." We said goodbye and hello in the same breath. But now, she's not part of the picture anymore. Literally. I went through my phone and deleted every photo. Every text. Every contact labeled. Venue, planner, cake tasting, florist, Vanessa's dress lady, Vanessa's backup dress lady. And my personal favorite, Vanessa's therapist, who was actually just her cousin with a certificate. Gone. I cleared it all. It wasn't about spite. It was about air. About not living in a life still haunted by someone else's unfinished monologue. Later that week, my sister and I met up for coffee. She brought her kid. We talked about school, groceries, the weather, normal stuff. Then she said it. "You know, if Mom could see you now, she'd tell you she was proud." I nodded. She already did. In her letter. My sister smiled. "You kept it?" "Framed it." She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "Good." That night, I sat on the couch with Penny asleep at my feet and thought about the wedding. What would have happened if none of this had gone wrong? I'd probably be married to someone who saw me as a stepping stone. I'd be locked into a mortgage I didn't choose, waking up next to a person who saw my grief as leverage. My life would be curated and filtered for someone else's narrative. And the worst part? I wouldn't even know it. So yeah, it cost me. Sanity, sleep, emotional blood loss, I'm still counting. But I got something back, too. I got myself. A few weeks later, I ran into someone unexpected, Vanessa's maid of honor. Lydia. We hadn't talked since the engagement party, and I nearly ducked behind the cereal aisle when I saw her at the grocery store. But she saw me first. "Hey, look." She looked cautious. Like she wasn't sure if I'd bolt or explode. "Hey," I said, neutral. She gave a soft nod. "You look better." Better. That was generous. I looked like a guy who'd been through a war and just finished folding laundry. "I heard everything," she said. I raised an eyebrow. "Everything?" "Enough," she replied. "She's still telling people you ghosted her after your mom died." I laughed. "That's the story now? She leaves out the part where she called your mom's death perfect timing." "Of course she does." Lydia looked around like she was about to confess to a crime. "She lied to everyone, Luke. Said you promised her the house, the ring, a honeymoon in Santorini. She had this whole story about how you were emotionally unstable and trying to punish her." Wow. Impressive fiction. She believed it. That's the scary part. She believed it. She thought if she kept saying it, it'd become true. But after the Facebook thing blew up, most of us started piecing it together. I didn't know what to say. I just wanted to say. She continued, "Not all of us bought the act. And I'm sorry. I should have said something sooner." I gave her a small nod. "Thanks." She hesitated, then added, "Also, Vanessa's still trying to sell the ring. Last week she posted about how she's starting a YouTube channel to talk about narcissistic exes and financial abuse." I couldn't help it, I actually snorted. "Let me guess. First episode, he sold his dead mom's house and kept the money I manifested." Lydia cracked up. "Something like that." We said goodbye. No awkward hugs. Just a strange, quiet understanding between two people who had both escaped Vanessa's orbit and lived to tell about it. Later that night, I pulled out the old wedding planner notebook. The one with her name scrawled in curly script across the front. I flipped through its slowly: venue samples, seating charts, mood boards of gold cutlery and linen drapes. There was even a page titled, "Our Story: How Tragedy Became a Beginning." I stared at that title for a long time. Then I lit a match and burned the whole damn thing in a grill behind my apartment. Watched it curl into ash. Penny sat beside me, head on my shoe, tail thumping gently like she understood. "We're not the story anymore," I told her. She sneezed in agreement. I didn't expect to hear from Eliza. Eliza was Vanessa's cousin. We'd met twice, once at a barbecue, once at a wine tasting. Vanessa dragged me to where I pretended to enjoy goat cheese and expensive awkwardness. But Eliza always seemed different. Quieter. Less like the rest of the aesthetic over authenticity crew Vanessa surrounded herself with. So when I saw her name pop up in my inbox one random Tuesday afternoon, I hesitated. Subject line: "You don't have to read this." I clicked anyway. "Hey Luke. Sorry if this is unwelcome. I promise this isn't about sides or drama. I just felt like I needed to say something. I know what Vanessa's been doing. The posts. The calls. The lies. It's embarrassing, honestly. And I want you to know not everyone in the family is buying the garbage she's selling. Some of us saw it. We just didn't say it out loud. I also found out she called my mom pretending to be you. Tried to get her to write a letter about your long-term cohabitation for some kind of legal claim. My mom said no. Told her she was delusional. Anyway, I'm sorry. For all of it. You didn't deserve what happened. You deserve someone who showed up for your pain, not someone who tried to profit from it. I hope you're okay. And I hope you know that, in some quiet way, you've become kind of a cautionary legend in the family. Not in a bad way. In a don't end up like Vanessa way. Take care. Eliza." I reread that last paragraph 3 times. Kind of a legend. Not how I would have described myself. But maybe. Surviving a storm someone else called an opportunity is a kind of legend. I wrote back. Thanks. That means more than you probably realize. I'm not okay every day. But I'm okay enough. And if anyone asks, tell them Vanessa can keep the ring. But she's never getting the house because the house was never the prize. It was my mother's. And she would have burned it down herself before giving it to someone who called her death a blessing. Eliza replied with a single line. Your mom sounds like she was a badass. She was. The next morning, I got a text from my sister with a photo attached. It was my niece, standing in front of a bookshelf at her school library, holding a copy of the same mystery novel Mom used to love, the one with the cat on the cover. My niece's text read, Grandma used to read these, right? I checked it out. Just feels nice to hold it. I stared at the photo for a long time. Then I smiled. Grief doesn't vanish. But it evolves. It softens. It shows up in books and letters and burn piles behind your apartment. It becomes something else. Not a weight. A shape. A reminder. 3 months after the funeral, I visited the cemetery for the first time since the burial. I don't know why it took me that long. Maybe I wasn't ready. Maybe I was scared it would feel like just another Vanessa Jason memory. But one Sunday morning, I woke up, fed Penny, and felt the quiet kind of ready that doesn't come with fanfare. I brought flowers, cheap daisies, Mom's favorite. She always said roses were for people who cared more about appearances than smell. Give me something cheerful, she used to say. Funeral flowers look like they were picked by ghosts with trust funds. Her headstone was simple. Clean. No marble wings or gold lettering. Just her name, her dates, and one line underneath. A quiet force of joy. I sat beside it on the grass and just talked. About Penny. About the house. About Vanessa's latest attempt to sell the ring for the 5th time, now listed at $3,200 with the caption, Heartbreak clearance. No bites. And then I told her what I hadn't said out loud to anyone. I almost married someone who thought you were a stepping stone. I almost let her walk across your grave to get to a venue. And I'm so sorry I didn't see it sooner. But I see it now. I see everything now. And I'm not letting anyone use my life as a launch pad again. You gave me a spine and a heart and a house full of books that smelled like lemon and sunlight. You taught me how to love, and how to leave when it's no longer love. The wind picked up like it was responding. Penny sniffed a patch of grass nearby and flopped down with a sigh. I stayed for 2 hours. Didn't cry. Not in a choked up, can't breathe way. It was the kind of crying that just leaks out of you, like you're pouring something heavy into the dirt and letting it stay there. Before I left, I whispered. I kept the letter. She never got the house. And I finally got a life I don't need to explain to anyone. The next day, I started looking for a new place to live. Not because I needed to run, but because I wanted to build something that had nothing to do with Vanessa, or the funeral, or a house filled with ghosts. Just something mine. I toured a place with a little porch and a built-in bookshelf. The landlord showed me the kitchen and said, "It's not fancy, but it's got good light." I signed the lease that afternoon. Moving day was quiet. No big truck. No Instagram-worthy stack of boxes. Just me, Penny, a few bags, and a framed letter from my mom riding shotgun in the front seat. The new place wasn't much, a small bungalow on a dead-end street with squeaky floors and a fridge that made weird noises when it kicked on. But it had a porch. And a little yard Penny could dig up to her heart's content. And something about it felt like freedom. Like air that didn't belong to anyone else's fantasy. First thing I unpacked? The letter. Hung it above my desk again. Second thing? Mom's old teacup. I kept it after the clean-out, even though it had a tiny crack. I poured myself some Earl Grey, sat on the porch, and watched Penny lose her mind over a squirrel. It was peaceful in a way that didn't need to be declared. No ring notifications. No text from blocked numbers. No surprise visits. Vanessa had finally gone dark. Or maybe she found a new story to center herself in. I honestly didn't care. But I kept expecting her to show up one last time. One final scene. The grand romantic gesture. The speech about what we could have had. It never came. The silence, oddly, was the real closure. A week later, I went back to work full-time. Got promoted. My boss called it long overdue. I think it was just good timing. Actually good timing, the kind you earn, not the kind someone blurts out at your mother's funeral like a lunatic. Life got normal in small ways. I started meal prepping. Joined a gym. Said yes to things again. Not big things, just trivia nights, coffee runs, walking tours with my sister's kid. I stopped flinching when people said the word wedding. Then something unexpected happened. I found the bracelet. The one Vanessa told the police I stole. The one I swore I never saw. It was wedged under the passenger seat of my car, next to a melted pen and 2 stale mints. Tiny silver thing with a blue stone in the middle. Her grandmother's, supposedly. For a second I froze. Thought about calling her. Mailing it back. Doing the right thing. Then I remembered the screaming. The fake police report. The wedding planner's exhaustive voice. The Facebook smear campaigns. The perfect timing. I tossed it in the trash. It clinked against the soup can and disappeared under a coffee filter. That was it. No drama. No ritual. No flames this time. Just a tiny, quiet choice to stop carrying someone else's delusions. That night, I cooked myself dinner and ate on the porch under a string of lights I'd hung from the awning. Penny slept beside me, twitching in her dreams. And I realized something. This boring, beautiful little night was what I thought I was chasing when I proposed to Vanessa. Not the house. Not the wedding. Just this. A life that felt like mine. 3 weeks ago, I got another message from an unknown number. No greeting. No explanation. Just a photo of our old engagement ring resting on a weathered pier rail, the ocean in the background, sun setting behind it like something out of a sad music video. The caption? You could have made it mean something. I didn't reply. Didn't save it. Didn't show my lawyer. I just stood up, walked outside, and let the cold air hit my face. Vanessa still wanted control. Still thought her version of the story could be rewritten, edited, resold as romance. She didn't want me, she wanted meaning. She wanted someone to believe the villain arc she wrote for me. But there's nothing left to revise. I'm not a chapter in her story. I'm the hardback cover that finally closed. I deleted the photo. Clipped Penny's leash. Walked 3 miles through quiet neighborhoods where no one knew my name or cared what I'd survived. I passed porch lights and falling leaves and a woman teaching her kid how to ride a bike with a neon helmet and shaking hands. The world didn't care that I'd almost married a ghost in a white dress. And that was the freedom. My grief didn't need an audience anymore. It didn't need witnesses or legal threats or apologies from people who only apologized when they lost. It just needed space. So I gave it that. Every day I give it that. In this new house with its lopsided steps and morning light, I start over. Mom's letter is still framed above my desk. Penny's asleep on the couch. My sister's text just came and she made banana bread, and yes, there's a slice for me. I'm not healed. But I'm whole. And that's enough.